Now from Fox 40, honoring Black history, sharing our stories.
Thank you for joining us for this special edition of Fox 40 News Honoring Black History. I'm Sincere Tonsel. Tonight we'll bring you stories of African Americans who are making a difference in communities all across Northern California and beyond. We start with West Sacramento Council member Daunte Earley West. As a child, she spent days writing letters and waiting by the door for a parent who was deployed to Iraq. Though she didn't enlist, that lesson of an entire life shaped by service made the kind of impression on Daunte Earley West that she wants to make on others, regardless of what they look like or where they come from. Coming full circle. That's how West Sacramentan wife, mother, Girl Scout leader, coach, councilwoman, and United Way president and CEO Daunte Earley West describes her activism.
I had my son when I was 19 years old, and I did not get here where I stand with you by myself. I was also low income. I also was the beneficiary of so many programs here in our region. And for me, it's important that I give back in the way that others gave back to me.
Reaching toward that full circle of service hasn't always been easy. As the chief of research and evaluation for the state's Mental Health Services and Oversight Commission, West made a run for city council, one that didn't work out. She ran again in 2021, winning a short-term seat, and then almost immediately had to run again, seeking long-term tenure for that same post.
I was really honored. The first time I was elected, made it over to receive 60% of the votes citywide at large. The second time I ran for District 3, representing Southport, Bridgeway Lakes, Bridgeway Islands, and that area of our city, and also won with 60% of the votes. And like I said, I'm truly honored that our city believes in the values that I believe in for our city as well. And I think that, again, speaks to the community that we have here.
And what are those beliefs?
Well, for me, and again, also for our city, like I already said, the inclusivity, the diversity, the importance of culture, and that you have a space where everyone feels welcome, no matter what your socioeconomic background might be.
So you've mentioned this is a place where everybody belongs. You've mentioned inclusivity. But you're still the first African-American woman to be on city council in West Sac. So why did that take so long if this is the place for everybody?
Well, that's a really good question. I'm going to start with the fact that we have had diversity on our council. But you're absolutely right. Not only am I the first African-American woman, I'm actually the first African-American Black person, period, to ever have been on our city council. My hope is that we have broken that boundary, right? We've broken that ceiling, and that hopefully the next person who looks like me, who looks like us, feels like this is something that they can do.
West believes it's critical that there be new images of possibility to inspire a new and very much needed generation of leaders, despite any headwinds. So unfortunately in our society, when people think a lot of times of people of color, of African Americans, and a set of services, they think that it's the African American that's going to have their hand out to receive. And they don't necessarily think of them as the person that's got their hand out giving or leading that effort. Why is it important, do you think, for people to see in the wider society someone of color, someone like you, who is leading the charge to help others?
I think it's important that you have all people with these lived experience that are coming and helping to serve, to your point, communities that look like us. As I said, I was one of the clients for United Way 20 years ago that was needing these kinds of services. I was one of those clients who needed additional education. And for me, it's important that we all of us collectively come together to give back to our community. The only way that we are actually going to be able to end generational poverty is collectively. And that is really what United Way does. We bring partners together in order to work to end this.
Full circle service and moves forward. Daunte Earley West is leading the United Way into its 100th year and setting direction for its next 100. The organization is planning for a huge gala to celebrate their mission in April. Next on Honoring Black History, we head to the state capitol where two leaders are making a name for themselves. Michael Tubbs and Assemblymember Isaac Bryan are advocating for communities across California.
This is Honoring Black History, Sharing Our Stories.
Two black leaders are using their platforms within the state capitol to try and make things better for others in the black community and beyond. Former Stockton Mayor Michael Tubbs is now an advisor to Governor Gavin Newsom and touring the state as part of his pledge to help end poverty in California. And Assemblymember Isaac Bryan represents parts of Los Angeles in the state legislature as he hopes to bring more representation of the black experience to Sacramento. Fox 40's Karma Dickerson reports.
We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. Hard to believe it's been 15 years since then Senator Obama put out that call to action. Half a generation later, a new cohort of black leaders is blazing their own path through the systems of power and politics in California, hoping to transform both.
City government should look different because we're here. There's no point in me being elected if everything's going to stay the same.
That's what Michael Tubbs said to his staff in 2016, after making history as not just the youngest and first black mayor in Stockton history, but at age 26, the youngest mayor of any major city in the country. Despite these accomplishments, he doesn't see himself as a singular talent.
You certainly made space for yourself, but do you feel that that space has been a welcoming space? Do you feel it was easy to access that space as you would like to see for others?
Absolutely not. And I recognized this after my first 2 months of being mayor, to realize there's a reason why you were the first. It's not just because you're good. There were other good people and smart people and people with ideas before you. So then you have to wonder, why weren't they able to break through? And the answer is that there's some sort of ism. There's some sort of institutional bias at play. And I think Vice President Kamala Harris says this best when she says, when you crack a glass ceiling, glass comes down. You might get cut, you might get bruised, you might bleed.
The same year Tubbs left office, Isaac Bryan became the youngest member of the legislature, representing a racially and economically diverse section of Los Angeles, including some historic black neighborhoods. He comes to the assembly at a time when the Legislative Black Caucus is the largest it's ever been, 12 members.
At the same time, there are still only 2 black senators, 1 black woman. There are 80 total assembly members. And so sometimes I find myself advocating for things that are just natural to me, problems that we need to fix, a perspective that I carry through lived experience that I think a lot of black people and other communities of color experience, but it's not shared universally in the legislature. So the work is twice as hard for us.
When it comes to encouraging not just black leaders, but young black leaders, Bryan and Tubbs believe it's up to them to demonstrate why representation matters.
I think we've got to show the efficacy of our being here, right? If the conditions of life don't change in Leimert Park, don't change in the Crenshaw district, then there's not much that my presence meant to those who might aspire to be in these positions themselves.
Tubbs, who founded EPIC, an anti-poverty initiative, and serves as a special advisor to the governor on economic mobility and opportunity, recognizes that work focusing on removing barriers and creating opportunities in black communities may meet with resistance. His answer? Lean in.
There's always pushback and backlash. So let's give them something to be mad about. Let's do as much as we can do. Then let's not even think about what's politically feasible. Let's think about what's necessary and right.
Tubbs is 32, Bryan 31, and while it's hard to separate their ages from their current political identities, Bryan says they have a responsibility to hold true to these ideals, even as they grow from young black leaders to senior black leaders.
We also have to be mindful that we're going to get older as well. This kind of gatekeeping that comes inherent to these positions is not something we can afford to do. We've got to build the bench. We've got to let talent rise. We've got to put people in positions where they can make a difference.
In Sacramento, Karma Dickerson, Fox 40 News.
Coming up, 2 men recently honored by the Sac Metro Chamber of Commerce making a difference in their own ways. One is helping keep wealth in the black community, while the other is helping to uplift Sacramento's black neighborhoods. Their stories next.
This is Honoring Black History, Sharing Our Stories.
A Sacramento man is using wealth to create opportunities for others. Fox 40's Richard Sharp introduces us to Kwame Onku.
It takes more than just money to make a lasting change in our society. It takes a whole different mindset.
I happen to believe that business is actually the driver for social change.
Kwame Anku is the CEO of Black Star Fund. For more than 20 years, Kwame, a venture capitalist, has worked to develop businesses and make the change he believed was desperately needed.
So Black Star Fund is a venture capital fund, and we invest in Black-led high-growth companies. When you think back to the year 2015, there wasn't one venture capital fund in the entire United States that was focusing on Black tech entrepreneurs. There wasn't one. And so just in 7 years, we're talking 2022, you now have dozens and dozens of Black-led funds that are investing in diverse founders.
Kwame has been able to bring new creative minds to the tech world that before were ignored or overlooked.
Sure, there's a disparity, but the reality is that's an incredible investment opportunity because you're basically saying the group that nobody's paying attention to, that we know has extraordinary talent.
Kwame has created countless success stories, businesses that make more than just money. They make change. He was just awarded Entrepreneur of the Year by the Sacramento Metro Chamber of Commerce.
I like to live in the world of creating. In order to create, you have to have more than an idea. You have to have resources. So when you think about the fact that businesses can employ people to solve big problems, and then those folks are able to have lifestyle and livelihood and wealth creation, generational wealth creation for their families, but together we can uplift everyone through successful business, which is one of the reasons why I'm so committed to doing what I do.
Ask Kwame what it takes to be successful, and his answer is easy.
I've come to see that there's entrepreneurs, wantrepreneurs, and everybody else. So entrepreneurs, they don't make excuses, they make things happen. They don't complain, they create. And so that's how I operate, but then I'm also attracted to people who have that mindset because I know what we can do together.
In other words, it's not just about the money, it's about community. In Sacramento, I'm Richard Sharp, Fox 40 News.
As a pastor and community leader, Bishop Esley Simmons has become a pioneer for change across Sacramento. His message of both peace and equity is central to the goals he has for this community. Here's Fox 40's Melanie Townsend.
When the downtrodden and wayward run astray, it becomes a mission for those who pray and serve the masses to not only care, but to create change. This much is true for Bishop Esley Simmons, senior pastor of South Sacramento Christian Center, who was inspired to do the Lord's work at a young age.
Actually, my dad was a pastor in the Methodist Church, and I remember riding to church with him, sitting in the back seat as he drove us to church every Sunday morning, watching him preach in a robe and, in the pulpit, preaching in a more traditional setting.
His religious upbringing fed the desire in his soul to help others. It led him to the historically Black neighborhood of Oak Park, where he became the pastor of a small church.
Well, God said, I want you to go to Sacramento and build a house for me, which that has been my purpose. My calling in life, my destiny in life was taken from Matthew chapter 28, verse 18, 19, and 20.
Then Jesus approached and said to them, "All power in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit." A message that is now the vision statement at his coveted Christian Center. Since 1989, Bishop Simmons and his congregation have gone beyond spreading the good word. They've provided food and clothes, washers and dryers, mentorship programs, and help for victims of violent crimes.
You see homelessness, you see drug abuse, and especially we see mental illness. And few of our families are exempt from those things that plague us. I think it's all of our neighborhoods in Sacramento need the work we do, and not only Sacramento, but others communities that look very much like ours.
The bishop's work even inspired Mayor Darrell Steinberg, who sought his advice 25 years ago as an ambitious but overwhelmed councilman.
And he came to me and said, I need to get food to people, and the people at Loaves and Fishes need to be fed a hot meal. So we found 2 buses and brought 2 bus loads of people every week to our facility when we were on Power Inn Road. We covenanted together to bridge the gap and restore dignity to people, came in and fed them a 5-star meal, however category you classify those hot meals, that a clan of women got together and decided they would follow the vision and fed them every Sunday.
And it's that kind of initiative that has created years of positive impact on people and neighborhoods that are otherwise ignored and go underserved. But Bishop Simmons knows the Lord's work is far from over.
When I see a deficit, regardless of whether it's food or housing or just simple wisdom, speaking to them as a father and pouring into them as a father or a mentor or someone like that in their life that they can model, because everybody needs a model.
Melanie Townsend, Fox 40 News.
Coming up, an art exhibit is bringing the experiences of Angela Davis to life in Oakland. Hear from the woman behind that exhibit. An exhibit in the Bay Area is forcing visitors to consider the significance of Angela Davis. As Fox 40 contributor Pam Moore shows us, the Oakland exhibit strives to personalize her story of activism.
If we are serious about being advocates of freedom, we have to be willing to struggle. And I'm very happy that I've participated in movements that have done that.
Seize the Time adds a new level of understanding to the activism of Angela Davis. Lisa Silberstein is the museum project lead.
When you look at the content of this exhibition, you see that there are a lot of images of Angela, and we know her from her afro, her image as an icon, but I think we really want to peel back the layers on who she is as a person and not just as an icon.
A key to doing that is this 2019 museum interview with Davis. The museum felt hearing her perspective as she is now in her 70s gives visitors a deeper view of who she is, particularly as an important figure in Oakland.
Angela lives here in Oakland, has lived here for a long time. This is a reflection of Oakland and who Oakland is, and I think we really wanted in this exhibit to not only humanize Angela Davis, but have visitors understand that they could continue to connect with the social justice issues that Angela fights for.
I was once on the FBI's 10 most wanted lists and ended up spending time in jails in New York, in Marin County, and in San Jose. All of the existing powers, the president of the US, the governor of California, the head of the FBI, they were all arrayed against me.
Angela Davis grew up in an activist family in Jim Crow, Alabama. She grew politically in the turbulence of the 1960s. A member of the Communist Party in 1970, police said a San Rafael courtroom shooting was with guns registered to her. She went into hiding, was later arrested. That instigated a call for her freedom that exploded around the world.
So 95% of this collection is yours.
Yes. Lisbeth Tellefson has a 40-year friendship with Davis and thousands of pieces chronicling her life. Author of the book by the same name, she is the exhibit archivist. Among the highlights, the relationship between art and activism.
This piece here from France illustrates that this was a global movement, to free political prisoners, and that the eye of the world was on the U.S.
The exhibit links Davis's year-plus time in jail with informing her battle against mass incarceration and its connection to slavery. In 1972, ultimately, an all-white jury in Marin County finds her not guilty on all counts.
Could black political activists get a fair trial in this country? Angela is one of the few wins. We have to celebrate our victories.
And that was Fox 40 contributor Pam Moore reporting. That exhibit will remain at the Oakland Museum of California through June 11th. We'll be right back. Right now, you can check out all of the stories you saw here tonight and more about the amazing things African Americans are doing in their communities. Just head to fox40.com. Thanks for joining us for this special edition of Fox 40 News honoring Black history. Have a good night, everybody. Be wise and be well.